Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to if you're new. So for this week's video, I wanted to do something a little different. This is going to be a story time. I've been in some interesting situations and I thought during this quarantine I should share some of those with you. For my first story time, I thought what better story to share than my obsessive landlord. So, to give you a little backstory, I met, what should we call him? Let's call him Brian. So, I met Brian at a bar that I was working at. Brian had come in with his friends to play pool, and that's how I met him. So I saw him at work. He seemed like a nice guy, didn't really seem like one of those weirdos, I guess you could say. He didn't give off the impression that he was going to be like obsessive. He just seemed like a normal customer that came in. He didn't even really like get drunk or anything like that. He didn't really drink, so like he was more of like someone that had conversations with me. I think I'd only seen him a couple of times, really not much. But at that point in my life that I was in a very depressed time. I was going through a lot of stuff. I had never been that emotionally down as I was in that point of my life. So I am going to say that I feel like if I was in a better point, I would like to think that I wouldn't have gotten caught up in a situation like this. But at the same time, I also trust people really, really easily, and that can get me in a lot of trouble because I'm assuming that everybody is a good person. I was living in a student house. I was trying to get the lease signed while I was living there because I needed a place to stay. And my goal was there for one more year and then just be out of living at student houses. I didn't want to do it again. That was going to be my last time. I was going to use this time to save up and just get my own place. I was done living with people. Those can be other story times. But that's basically where I was. I wanted to get this signed and knew that I had a place to stay because in literally a month, I would have to move because that's when school was starting. And the girls that also lived in that house basically already had a plan to not let me stay. They wanted someone to stay there in the summer so that the girl that was going to move in during the school year didn't have to pay for that room during the summer, so that she could live at home and save. So basically, they just used me as someone that could stay there and cover that rent. So eventually, with literally like a month to figure my stuff out, they tell me we actually have someone else that signed the lease and she's gonna move in for the school year. So I'm like, okay, so I'm screwed. I have 1 month to find a new place. It's around the time of the school year, so basically every student house is filled up now. And I just wasn't having any luck, and I was like, I don't want to move back home. My mama lives like really far from where I am and in the middle of nowhere, and I just did not want to go back there. I did that once before I moved to the area that I'm in now. Once again, I was not in a good mindset when I had moved back. I had just broken up with my ex-boyfriend of like 3.5 years, and then I was moving to a town that has nothing. None of my friends were there, and I just worked and didn't do anything. I felt trapped, and I really didn't want to go back to that, and especially being in an even worse mindset, I knew that that was not going to be the best bet for me. I had to stay where I was. I had to be in this area. I had to be with my friends who were supporting me and being there for me and being able to get out and actually do stuff and not live so far from everything because I grew up in the country. I knew I couldn't do that. Brian had reached out to me and had told me like, hey, what's going on? Is everything okay? Because he could tell that I was down when he had seen me. And I told him what had happened. This is my situation. I don't know where I'm going to live. I honestly have a month to figure it out. And I really honestly don't know what to do. And Brian said that he has a house about 20 minutes from the city that I lived in. And had said that, you know, I live in a different city for work. I have this house. The top half has a tenant. The middle floor I was staying in, and I didn't plan on renting it out to anybody because I didn't want a permanent tenant. But if you need a place to stay, you are more than welcome to go there. I know that you want to, you need more time to figure everything out. So that's basically what Brian offered to me. It was a holding place for me to move to have my own space, and I can figure out what my next step was. I could figure out where I was going to live. I would have the time to look at apartments, to save up. If any rooms did become available, you never know what can happen. Students do drop out. Who knows? This was going to work out great for me. And there was no contract signed because it was just a temporary hold. So I know people at the end of this video are going to tell me, why didn't you take them to the tenant labor board or whatever? We didn't sign anything. This was just a verbal agreement. This was me trusting somebody that I had seen a couple of times and seemed like a normal person, and that's on me. But also him saying he had another tenant at the top of his house made it seem like, oh, he does this. Like, this is his side job. Like, he has a house that he rents out to. So it just seemed like something I could trust, and I was not in a good mindset, and I needed a place to go. I was down to a month to find a place just before school, and I was not coming across anything. So I get situated. He tells me that he comes down once a month to do the yard work and to hang out with friends and family, and I was like, okay. Like, I'm guessing he was just telling me because I was going to see him around the yard every once in a while and not to worry that he's just working on the property. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's fine. Then he had said that there's a bed in the basement where the laundry is. There's no room or anything down there. There's a door you can get in separately through my house, which is how upstairs guy got down into the basement to do his laundry. And then there was a door from my unit to go down there. So there were separate doors. And he's like, I have a bed down there because sometimes when I'm here for a long period of time and I don't want to make the drive back up to where I live, which is decently far, he said, is it okay if I sleep down there? Once again, that probably should have been one of the red flags, and I just ignored it. I'm like, you know what, I can lock the door to my side, so that would make me feel comfortable. And he says it's only like once a month. Like, worst case scenario, if I'm really not comfortable, I can go and stay at my friend's house. He made it seem like he was not going to be there very frequently. He literally told me once a month. To me, I'm like, okay, that's fine. You're helping me out. It did not seem right to even make any demands or anything like that. So I told him, yeah, that's fine. It's okay, it's whatever. So it's the beginning of the school year, which is around the time of my birthday as well. My mom came down and she saw me for my birthday, and she had brought me cake. And then one of my best friends, we'll call her Stacy. Let's go with Stacy. So Stacy comes over and she brings me a cake for my birthday as well. So, we hang out, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't on my birthday, but I think it was a day or two after, and I still had this cake in the fridge. So Stacy and our guy friend, let's call him Nathan. So Stacy and Nathan are like, let's have a movie night at your house, let's just hang out, let's just relax, and let's just chill. So we come over to my place, and we notice that Brian is there, and he's sitting in the shed just hanging out. We come in, we get situated, we have to figure out how to connect my laptop to the TV and get all that working, and then Brian comes in. Now, the living room is back here. Let's say it's like this. So this is the back wall, and we have the TV in the corner here, and there's a little bit of a wall that's hiding the TV, that it's all open, and then there's this porch to the left side. There's a door that goes out into the porch, but the windows that are in that porch facing inward are gone, so it's basically open space. So we're sitting on the couch watching the TV, and Brian comes in, and he comes just past the wall and stands in that open space, and he's watching us. We're watching it, and he's just standing there. And I can tell that me, Stacy, and Nathan, I know that they want to make a comment because they're uncomfortable. I don't really know what to do because I don't know why he's just standing there and why he's watching us. And like, I don't know what to do. I've never been in this situation before, and like, we're just trying to watch a movie. We're not even doing anything. Then he goes into the kitchen, and I can hear him going through the cupboards and stuff, and I can't help but think, like, you have no food here. Like, I live here. That's my food. Why are you going through the cupboards with my food? What are you looking for? And then I hear him open the fridge, and he goes, oh my gosh, Heaven, why is there so much cake in here? Was it your birthday? And it was just so uncomfortable, because it's like, what? I get that we had talked and he had offered me to stay here, but I wouldn't have considered us friends. Okay, we hadn't talked that much to be on that level. I didn't really know too much about him. He really didn't know too much about me. And it wasn't something I even felt to tell him, like, hey, by the way, it's my birthday. That just makes it sound like I'm expecting him to give me a gift or do something for me. He's already letting me live there, you know? So it didn't even cross my mind that that was something I should tell him. So Stacy turns to Nathan and is like, oh, do you want some cake? Like, as like, I had brought some. I didn't even offer any to you. Like, do you want some? And Nathan literally like shook his head no. Brian, okay, Brian, takes that as the opportunity to take one of the cakes, sticks a fork in the top of it, and brings the entire cake right to Nathan, and then stands back in that one side by the wall where like the TV's here and like the open space is here. He stands back here and he watches Nathan eat the cake. And Nathan was like, he doesn't even want to eat this, but he does it, I'm pretty sure, solely out of the fact that he was that uncomfortable that he was eating it. And like, we can't even look at each other and give each other like, what the hell is going on looks, because he's watching us, and it's just so uncomfortable. The tension was so thick. Anybody could have walked in and been like, whoa, something weird is going on here. So he watches him eat the cake, and Nathan basically finished the cake. Given it wasn't a large one, it was one of those little ones that you can get in the grocery store, but he basically finished it. So I had mentioned that there's that open space, and then around here there's like a porch, and there's some windows that are open. So Brian walks into the porch and goes and stands there. So now I am closer to him. We are basically beside each other, and he's leaning against the window frame and like kind of watching the TV with us. I'm like, oh my God, like this is weird. And I'm starting to think, like, does he want me to offer him to sit and watch a movie with us? Like, there's not even space. For one, we're taking up the little couch, and two, it's just, I'm so uncomfortable. I don't even want to invite him to stay. We're all so uncomfortable. Brian then goes, Heaven, aren't you going to introduce me to your friends? And now I'm thinking, like, introduce you as what? The guy that offered me a place to stay and now is being creepy? So I'm like, Stacy, Nathan, this is Brian. Brian, these are my friends, Stacy and Nathan. They say hi, and then he goes and he walks outside. And he stays out there, and we just look at each other like, what the hell? Like, what is that? Nathan expresses that it's weird and he's uncomfortable. So even Nathan has now voiced that he's uncomfortable. Stacy says, that's weird. I need to smoke. I should mention, we're also in Canada and it is legal. I'm not promoting drugs. I'm not trying to say anything like that in the story. I'm just explaining what happened. So Stacy goes out to smoke. I think it was a bong. He asked if he could use that, because he didn't have like something to quickly like smoke it up. She's like, yeah, that's fine. She took her hit, passed it to him. And she said that he looked at her like as if waiting for her to offer weed as well. And she's like, do you not have any weed to smoke? And he just like kind of looked at her, she said. And then she offered him some, like, do you want some of mine? And his response was, yep, guess I'm gonna have to take some of yours. Like, I don't know, just everything about the whole thing seems so weird. So the movie ends, and Stacy's tired, she doesn't want to drive back. Nathan's upset because he wants to go home. He's like, I don't even want to be here, but Stacy drove. And honestly, I kind of don't want to be alone. So they sleep over, and I don't really know when Brian went to sleep, but I'm pretty sure he went to sleep way later than the rest of us, and he stayed. So in the morning, we wake up, I get ready, and then I pack a bag because I'm definitely staying in the city. I do not want to be in this house while he's still here. Like, he hasn't even left. He hasn't even done any yard work, might I add. Once we get ready, and once we leave, I get this long text message. And in this text message, he basically, Brian, tells me that he is uncomfortable with me having friends over. Absolutely no males are allowed in his house. Absolutely no more than one friend at a time, and they can only be female, and females are only permitted to stay for 1 hour. He then told me that he's not comfortable that I even had friends sleep over, and accused me of having an orgy. Yes. He said that because he stepped on one of my birth control pills the day before, he knows I'm having orgies. I take that right in the morning. I know if I swallowed it or if I dropped it. 2, where my birth control was not even in the kitchen, and that's where he said he stepped on it. He said he stepped on it near the fridge or whatever, because I made a comment like, I don't understand how that would have even gotten in the kitchen when I take it in my bedroom on the opposite end. It's not going to fly all the way out there and around the corner. That just doesn't even make sense. But that's what he claimed, that because I take birth control, clearly I'm having orgies, and I'm not allowed to have anybody over because it makes him uncomfortable. Makes you uncomfortable? It was just getting beyond too far. I say my bit to him that he has absolutely no right to accuse me of anything, to go through my stuff, because he obviously went in my room and saw my birth control, because there is no way it was on the floor in the kitchen. So I told him he had no right to go through my stuff or to make those accusations. On top of that, he never told me that there was going to be these types of rules that even a normal landlord wouldn't be able to make. That's just not something you can do. Like, how is that fair? And then I told him that he made me uncomfortable, and he made my other 2 friends uncomfortable. And this guy proceeded to tell me, I didn't make you uncomfortable, I didn't make anybody uncomfortable, you're just trying to make me feel bad. Like, are you dumb? We were uncomfortable. You were being so creepy, and you were going through my cupboards, and then you came and brought Nathan a cake, and then you were just standing there, and like, it was awful. It was so bad. I basically didn't even end up staying there for the next couple of nights. I just stayed at Stacy's house. I was not okay to be there, and he didn't leave. Let me just put out there, I stayed for 2 months, and out of those 2 months, he was there more than I was. He was there basically every day. He would sleep in that basement, and he would drive anywhere from 45 minutes to a little over an hour to get to work when he had a house there. He had a house in the area he worked at, but he chose to come and stay at this house with me. It was awful. It was terrible. He was getting mad about where I had put my stuff, and he wanted me to put it somewhere else. I had put my makeup room in this porch area because there's so much window light. I'm like, this is perfect. There's no room in the bedroom anyway for me to put my stuff. And he was upset that I put that in there. And then he would come and sit down and watch TV and force me to talk to him. I'd be in there doing my makeup, and he'd sit down and start asking me questions about my life. He'd start asking, oh, do you go and see your family? Like, oh, where's your family live? I'm being super short. I'm not giving him any specifics. I'm like, yeah, I visit my family. We live out in the country. It's not around here. And then he would start prying, like, oh, do you go with anyone to visit your family? Do you go with, like, is there any guy in your life? And it's like, this is insane. This is insane. I did not expect this to happen from someone that seemed totally normal. And I get it's my fault for trusting someone that I really honestly hardly knew. I know that's my fault. I know that. But you can't tell me that this should have been something I'd expect. Like, yeah, this guy's going to be crazy and obsessive, and he's going to accuse me of having orgy. Like, I don't expect people to be crazy. I don't expect when I meet people to be insane. I've met people at bars and they became really close. That's how you meet people. You meet people at the gym, you get to know them, you learn if you guys will actually be friends or not. happens. That's life. So to me, it really didn't seem that absurd. The other days where he'd come out and we'd get in arguments. Like, he would message me on text telling me I need to do this or I need to stop doing that. And like, he tried to take me out on dates and I'd express I'm uncomfortable and he would tell me that I don't have basically a right to say that he made me uncomfortable and I'm crazy, that he didn't do anything wrong. And I remember the one time he came in and he like caressed my shoulder and was just like, I hope you're not mad. Like, I really thought this was going to be different than it was. This isn't going any way that I wanted. What are you talking about? We agreed that this would be a temporary place for me to figure out what is going on in my life and where I can go. This was not supposed to be anything but that. What are you talking about? Oh my God, literally 2 months. That's all I did, guys. And I basically stayed at Stacy's house the entire time. I only went there occasionally, really wasn't that often. Eventually, I did find a place. I found a bedroom that was available and I moved there and signed a 6-month contract thing. Which is its own story in itself, because that is also a terrible landlord experience. And that's probably because I was in such a rush to leave this one that I just rushed right into another one and I signed a contract for 6 months. That's another story. Don't worry, I'll tell that one too. But I could not get the hell out of there faster. And it's funny, just as I had found that place, he told me, hey, just to let you know, I decided to end my lease at my other place and I'm going to move back into that house. Did you plan on us living together? Because you told me pretty last minute, as if hoping that we would. Thankfully, I found a place. I got everything moved out. I didn't even say goodbye. I was like, I can't do this. You have made me so uncomfortable. I can't deal with this. And then I move into this other place. Now, I'm not going to talk about that place and the crazy stuff that happened there, but I will talk about how this guy, Brian, still does shit to this day. Still, it has been over a year, okay? He tried adding me on Facebook. I don't accept. He has messaged me telling me that he misses me, that he wished this had worked out differently, that he's sorry for how bad this turned out. He's liked, so on Facebook you can have like featured photos, and I'm pretty private on Facebook. So if you see me on there, you're only gonna see those preview photos and like some old profile picture changes or whatever. He liked every single one of those photos he could see, and he even went to the point of messaging one of my friends that he had met that came to that house. We'll call her Lara, I guess. Let's call her Lara. So Lara had come over a couple times and he had messaged her on Facebook, and he had literally said, hey, I didn't even realize that you know Heaven. I know Heaven as well. She lived with me for a few months. I don't know if I should have told you that. Literally, his message just looked just like that. I don't even have to ask her to send me the screenshot again. I already know that it was something stupid like that, and that's basically how he worded it. And she literally messaged him back saying, you know exactly who I am. You had met me. I know what you had done to her and how you made her uncomfortable. I'd seen the messages like, you're just being creepy, you need to leave her alone. He then sends me a whole message that I need to stop telling people that he's being creepy and that he makes me uncomfortable and just all this stuff because he didn't do that and he didn't make me uncomfortable, and basically I'm insane. Like, I don't even answer him. Okay, he still tries to friend request even now. He sent me a message I think 2 months ago saying like, hey, I miss you, I hope everything's okay. Brian just won't stop. He's just crazy. That 2-month time span of craziness was just insane. I really did short it down for you guys because I want this to all fit in one video. Moral of the story, do not accept help from a stranger, especially when it involves living there. I learned my lesson. I'll never do that again. It has made me, this experience and the other experience that I'll tell another time about my other landlord, has made me so grateful for the landlord I have now. Given the landlord I have now, I don't even think there is really landlords like him. He is so amazing. He is so kind and considerate, and if you have any struggles and you need to, pay late, or if you need assistance, whatever it is, or if something's broken, he's on it before you even know that it's broken. He loves and cares about the building that I live in so much. I'm so grateful for him. I would have been grateful anyway, even without these experiences, but I think having those two really bad ones back to back to come here was just such a major stress relief. The two landlord experiences that I had back to back really didn't help my mental state. I was in a really bad point. It got to the point where I had lost a drastic amount of weight, to the point where people were coming out and saying something about it. And then it got to the point where I started to like how it looked, and that just turns into an eating disorder. So it really was a really bad time, and just being in situations like that really didn't help with the stress and where I was mentally. And I think coming here and getting this beautiful place that I have now was such a major help in getting better. And I hope people will take from this, don't go living with people that you don't know, or don't go signing contracts with people you might have an iffy feeling about, or if you meet someone random and they offer you a place to stay when you need it, even if you met them a couple of times and they seem normal at first, don't do it. My gosh, please don't do it. I can learn maybe from my mistakes here, learn some lessons, but I definitely learned that my environment is very crucial to my mental health and my physical health. And if you're in a bad place, just get out. Do everything you can to get out, because once I didn't start getting better until my environment changed. That was the biggest thing. I was so stressed out and so depressed about my living situation on top of the other stuff that was going on, that when I came here, it was such a help, and it made it so much easier to get better. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more stuff like this, then let me know down in the comments, or what type of videos that you guys do want to see. Like this video if you thought it was interesting, or maybe you learned something from it. And subscribe if you want to see more, and hit that notification button if you want to know when I post next. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks. Bye.